Hey guys, welcome back. This is Bill. I am that expat prepper living in the Philippines. I'm coming today with the freeze dry video, and I haven't done freeze drying videos in a while because I haven't done something different than I've normally already done a video on. But I have a subscriber, Samantha, a Filipino, who's buying some Harvest Right freeze dryers, and she'd asked me to try something new. So what I'm going to try today is I'm going to try, first of all, just regular steamed rice as a standalone side, and I will possibly try to make it with a mix of Bicol Express. Now, Bicol Express, I had this made, and it looks like I only had half of what I needed done. But this is the actual Bicol Express. It still has the fat on the end of the pork. I didn't trim all the fat off. I didn't do anything special. It's just red, green chilies, peppers, garlic, onions, and pork, combined with some coconut milk. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully you can see here, is I'm going to try to get all of this in one batch. And I am just going to use the dividers this time around because I want to try to see if I can get these guys to be consistent in size, right? So I can make portions, and then my plan is to make the portion size the same. So if I had to rehydrate and give someone instructions, then the instructions would say, hey, you know, this amount of water per this amount of Bicol Express. So I'm just going to manually spoon feed this in. I might have enough for a tray and a half here. Let me mix this up here a little bit. I'm going to try to get all this good coconut milk juice in there as well. Now, like I said, this does include chunks of fat. I'll have to keep that in mind. I didn't cut the pieces smaller than normal. This is just regular Bicol style spicy express, right? So let me spoon this out here for you. Now these are probably a little over 1 cup size servings. And I'm going to make these all equal in size. I have not done Bicol Express in the freeze dryer yet. I have done some Filipino foods. You can drop down in my playlist of freeze dried foods. I've done champorado and I've done Philippine menudo, which both turned out great. The champorado I've actually done several times and I'm all out of it. So something to keep in mind. Yeah, I can tell by looking at, I asked her to make for 20 people, but it looks like it's more for 10 to 15. And it looks like my 20-person estimate would have been off anyways to fill 2 trays. But let's see what I get here. I'm experimenting today, so I may or may not have more made. Just bear with me as I spoon this out here. Now I'm trying to make sure every bit has some chili, every bit has some fat as well. And I'm trying to make them all to look about the equal size portions. Yeah, so obviously what she made here was, I think, 3 kilos of pork. It's going to be enough for a tray and just a smidgen left over. I might even save that smidgen for my lunch because it doesn't look like enough for 2 trays, that's for sure. All right, let's just top off some of these. Make sure. Now I'm going to squish this down with the lid so I can be a little bit oversized here. A lot of good juice in here. I want to get this juice in here. I know it's going to make it a little longer to freeze dry with this moisture, but this is a lot of the good flavor in this coconut milk here. So I want to make sure I take advantage of all of that. Bear with me with any background noise. You know I live out in the province of the Philippines. Yet I do live next to a busy road, so I get a mix of all kinds of stuff here. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to save this little bit here that you see in this pan, and I'm just going to eat that for my lunch. So I'm going to set this aside. So 3 kilos per their recipe gives me what I would say 1 tray sectional off of Bicol Express. Now I'm going to go ahead and cover that, get that in the freezer, and then I'm going to put the rice on some pans. You'll see me in 2 seconds. Stand by. All right, I'm back. I had go ahead and put the lid on here, and out of this big pot of rice, I got 2 full trays. So it's obvious that I undershort the recipe for 5 full loaded tro. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this into the deep freezer over here. And I'm going to just run a 3-tray batch just so I can get this process and get it along and see how it turns out. The leftover rice will go downstairs, the crew will eat that. You will not see me until I'm taking these trays out of the freezer and putting them into the freeze drying machine. So for you guys, it'll only be 2 seconds. Stand by. All right guys, it's Bill, I'm back. It has been 2 seconds for you, but it's been 24 hours for me. I have pre-frozen the machine, as well as these 3 trays that I want to get into the dryer today. Now remember, this is 2 trays of steamed rice, which I've never done before, and a tray of Bicol Express, which I am curious to see how it tastes. Oh, these lids are frozen pretty solid on there. Let me give it a second to see if I can get some of these open up here. All right. Ugh. Sometimes I'll let these sit for a second to get them popped open. They're extremely cold. All right. Looks like the 2 rice trays come up fine. These guys are frozen solid. See if I can get this last tray popped here. All right. So pre-frozen, this is what my portions look like. Let's go ahead and get them into the dryer. Now, I'm only running 3 trays instead of 5, so I'm going to put these in the middle. Whew. Cold, cold, cold to the fingertips. All right. All right, so you can't see because I just opened this up, but I have all 3 trays. I chose the 3 middle ones. I'm going to hit continue. Now we are off to the races. I don't know how long this is going to run. First time I've done rice, first time I've done Bicol Express. You'll see me next when I'm pulling it out of the freeze dryer. For you, it'll be 2 seconds. Stand by. Hey guys, welcome back. It is Sunday morning. Now, I went to sleep last night at 10, and this batch was still running, but I figured it only had like an hour to go. And then I got up at 4 o'clock, and I came and checked, and it was done. But I just gave it 4 more hours of time to go. Now, it's almost 9 o'clock now. I just finally woke up. I got it to where it's warm trays, so I'm just going to hit, I'm going to hit no defrost here. Go ahead and shut this machine off. And let's take a look at what we got here. So it said 40 some hours, but that's including the freezing time and then at least 10 extra hours overnight. Hang on, I gotta put this down so I can open this up here. Oh, I gotta release the pressure. That's what I gotta do. For those that are wondering, I have this valve release and it just goes in this bucket over here and dumps the water. And then I keep that water empty. All right. So the trays are warm. They're not hot like normal because it's been sitting all night. They are light now. Set this back just a little bit. Now normally these trays come out very hot, but since they were sitting here overnight, that's not going to happen. But I was asked to show what my little heat temperature gun is like. So I'm going to shoot it in here, and it's 26.6 in there. because it got a lot of ice and stuff. Well, let's just take a quick peek. 33, 32, 34, 35, 36, 36, 36, 35. All right, the rices are 39, 40. All right, 41, 40, 38, 37. So you can see, and what I want to do is kind of take one of the biggest ones here. Let's get this out the way. They're light, but I just want to shoot the bottom in a couple spots. 34, 36, 36, 36. I don't feel any cold spots whatsoever. They are light. It's kind of dense. So that's kind of how these guns work. You can take and look at it. I think this rice is going to be really fragile, so I'm going to be careful here. Yeah. 39. The rice is super fragile. Okay. So that's just me showing how the gun works. Now what I'm going to do is, it feels dense because I know it's full of pork, and that's probably why. I am going to bag up all but one sample. I'm going to take 2 things of rice, give or take, and I'm going to put it with 1 of the cups of Bicol Express, and then we'll rehydrate that and see how it tastes and how it looks. But give me 2 seconds to bag up the rest, and you'll see me soon. All right, I am back. What I consider 2 servings of rice was just a little too much for this bowl. So I went down and got a container. I think it'll work fine for this one. I have 5 bags of probably 2 to 3 portions of steamed rice. And I have 2 big bags of Bicol Express to put in the pantry. So what I'm going to do here, hopefully you guys can see this, is just using my eye and my experience. There's nothing scientific about this whatsoever. I'm going to add some water in here, and I'm going to give this a stir. Now this is pretty good sized pork chunks, so I'm assuming it's going to take a while to absorb. So that is what it looks like with my first shot of eyeballed water. I'm going to put a lid on this guy. Set it aside. I've never done rice before. I have no idea how rice is going to turn out. So I'm going to go slow here with the water because I don't like runny rice. Break up any lumps here. This is the consistency of what it looks like at the moment. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more water. Hopefully I'm not mistaken. Tap this all down here so everything's getting contact with the water. Put a lid on that. Guys, I'm going to give this probably 8 to 10 minutes to rehydrate because I think the pork chunks are pretty good size, and I'd hate to bite into non-rehydrated pork. So stand by 2 more seconds once again. All right, we are back. We have 20 seconds to go on my 8 minutes. Now, I've never done rice for a couple of reasons. One, I have a lot of rice stored, and you can cook rice in 10 minutes. So, you know, the process of freeze drying the rice and then reconstituting it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me because in my case I have rice. Now if you're making packaged meals, backpacking or camping meals, and you want to include rice, this is where that comes in handy. Now let's check the rice first. Now this was steamed rice that was sticky when I put it in the, let me stir it up here. When I put it into the freeze dryer, all right, it's fluffy. It's definitely not overwatered. So take a look at this here. You can see that, see, the stickiness came back. So it's definitely sticky rice. Now the one I'm curious the most about is going to be this pork Bicol Express. Let me get the rice off the spoon. Now, it still looks a little wet. I might have put too much water, but I have a feeling that this pork is not rehydrated yet. So let me take a small piece here and just check. Yeah, it's correct. So this pork is not going to be rehydrated in 8 minutes. So I gave it a stir. It has enough water. The taste is good. The spiciness is still there. Ooh. And the pork is chewy. It's just not quite rehydrated. So I'm going to give it another 8 minutes from my random experience. And we'll check on it and see if it completely rehydrates in the 16 minutes total. Stand by 2 seconds. All right, it's been another 8 minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look here. We know the rice is good. So I'm just going to set that aside for a second. I want to see how this Bicol Express has come out. Now, it still looks a little wet for me. Now, I'll tell you what, if I was going to do this again, and I might because the one bite I had was delicious, I would probably exclude the skin and the fat bits, and I would cut these pork chunks just a little bit smaller. You see how it's kind of big here. Let me go ahead and test this. I just want to test this big chunk and see if we're getting further along here. Oh yeah, so that's rehydrated. That's, wow, that's yummy. All right. So I got a little extra juice here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and pour it all right on top of the rice and let that coconut milk juice get into the rice there as well. So you can see that this is what I would consider a pretty good single person entree here. A little bit of rice, some chili peppers. Now I'm going to taste this bit of skin because this skin had fat on it. Now the fat's not as visible as it normally would be. And it's a little chewy, which the skin normally is, to be honest with you. But I kind of think it adds flavor to the Bicol. Let's try some of this with rice. There's a big bite here. I'm still chewing on the skin. All right, guys. Filipino Bicol Express, a subscriber request. Thank you, Samantha. I do not believe that I will do rice again solely because I can make my own rice and not waste the time and effort using the freeze dryer. But the flavor is spot on. It didn't lose any of the spiciness. The coconut, you can still taste extremely well. Like I said, again, I would probably use smaller sized chunks of pork just to save on the rehydration time. But it's also kind of nice to have these big sized pieces here. Like, look how big this chunk of pork is. For freeze-dried meals, if you've experienced any of them before, you know that's a large sized piece of protein. And yeah, even this piece in the center is a little matigas. It's still a little hard. Let me take that out while I talk here. All right, for those that are curious, I'm not using defrost. There was a small amount of ice buildup around. Actually, not a whole lot, but yeah, I'll do Bicol Express again. I'll just prepare the protein a little bit different. And comment down below if you can think of any dishes you would like me to try. I'm specifically trying to do Filipino dishes. If you're not sure what I've done already, drop down into my playlist, check it out. I've done a lot of freeze drying out here, and I have a lot of food stacked up in my pantry. You ought to go check out my pantry as well. Anyways, guys, if you watched all the way to the end, hit that like button. Comment down below. If you're a new user, look through my stuff. I don't just freeze dry, I prep all the way around. And guys, until next time, be safe.